Hey everybody, Smart Silver Stacker here. In this video, I'm going to show you guys the worst bullion I've ever stacked. It's actually the weirdest silver I've ever found, and it's also the only bullion a dealer has ever refused to buy from me. And I'm going to tell you all about that story. I'm also going to share with you some other types of silver that I would rank in the worst silver bullion category, and then I'll go over my favorite silver to be investing in and stacking now in 2021. And I'll even show you one trick that I like to use to see the actual real-time price and sales data for specific types of silver bullion. So stick around, there's a lot of great stuff in this video. Let's get to it. Alright, so I'm just going to get right to it. The worst silver bullion that I've ever stacked, it's not the Engelhard bar there, that's just there for scale. It's this stuff right here. Now, this is not a large amount of silver, but it does carry an interesting distinction for me, in that it's the only silver that I've ever had a bullion dealer flat out refuse to purchase from me. I should start off by telling you how I got this stuff. Years ago, I used to visit a lot of estate sales and thrift shops, etc., and I'd buy stuff and resell it online. Most of the time I was looking for books, but of course, being the smart silver stacker, if I found some silver, I'd try to get it for a good price. Well, I actually bought this stuff by accident. I was at the estate sale of a guy who had been a scientist and an inventor, and he had all this crazy equipment out in a laboratory outbuilding on his property, and on the last day of the sale, they were selling big boxes of electronics and equipment for like $10 a box. So I picked up a few, and it turned out to be worthwhile. I got a cool scale out of one of the boxes, and there were a few other things, but in one of the boxes was a Ziploc with this stuff in it, and the bag was labeled simply AG, the chemical symbol for silver. Well, I got excited that these things could possibly be pure silver, so I weighed them and figured out the density, and I realized that most likely they were. I even cut one into pieces to make sure it wasn't just silver coated and that it was uniform all the way through. So, pretty confident that these were pure silver, I took them down to the local coin shop that I frequented, and I was planning on trading them for some junk silver. This was something I did with this shop a few times. If I found any gold jewelry or silver flatware at an estate sale, I would take it by this shop and swap it with them for some junk silver, usually at a pretty good exchange rate, so I figured this time would be no different. Well, the owner tested these things with a spectrometer, and that showed they were indeed pure silver. He also tested the inside of the one that I'd cut, and that was pure silver too. Even so, he didn't want them. He said that because they were unmarked and irregular, and honestly none of us knew what the heck they were, that he wouldn't take them off my hands. So I still have this stuff today. I suppose I probably could find a buyer, a refiner possibly, but it's really not enough silver for me to bother with. And I'm still kind of curious as to what these things are. If anyone watching knows what these are, some kind of lab equipment or some kind of electronic component that is made entirely out of silver, let us know in the comments below. I'd love to find out. And so that's the worst silver that I've ever stacked. I would not recommend anyone watching stack up miscellaneous scientific silver scrap, unless you come across it by accident like I did. Now, if that's the worst type of silver to stack, then possibly the second worst is this stuff. 0.925 sterling silver flatware is not a very compact store of value. It doesn't stack up well, it's not uniform or divisible, and while some of it is very beautiful and can set the table nicely, a lot of it looks like this. On top of all those other things, it's not pure silver. So before it can be used by industry or remade into investment grade products, it needs to be refined and purified, which requires extra energy and work. And that means that when you go to sell it, you're likely going to get below spot price. Now, if you're out and about at estate sales, garage sales, and thrift shops anyway, and you can find this stuff real cheap, like way below spot, then yeah, pick it up. That's how I got the stuff you're looking at. But it's not like you find this stuff everywhere you go. And unless you have some other things to be looking for at those places, like, Beanie Babies or books or Nintendo games or whatever, it's probably not going to be worth your time to just look for cheap silver. So for the vast majority of stackers, there are going to be better types of silver investments out there, and we're going to get to those in just one moment. But first, I do want to mention the absolute worst type of silver you could stack, and that's fake silver, counterfeits. It's not that common, but they are out there and it is worth mentioning. If you're not familiar with counterfeits and you've never seen any, one site you can check out is fakebullion.com, where they have a database with photos of known fakes and counterfeit bullion. And I think it might be worthwhile to just briefly familiarize yourself with that if you've never seen counterfeit bullion before. The best way to avoid counterfeits is to buy your silver from reputable dealers who get their stock directly from the mint and who perform their own assay on any secondary market products that they bring into their inventory. So, enough about the worst silver for stackers. Let's talk about the best. Starting with my number 3 favorite silver to stack in 2021, silver bars. Whether it's these 20-ounce poured bars from the Scottsdale Mint, their finely machined 10-ounce stacker bars, or a real piece of silver history like this 100-ounce Engelhard bars, silver bars are just awesome. If you shop around, you'll find that generic silver bullion bars like these are one of the lowest premium silver investments out there. While premiums on any given pattern of bar may be higher from time to time, you can almost always find some brand of bar that's priced closer to spot than most other bullion products. And the premiums fluctuating is actually a good thing, because that fluctuation is due to the fact that there is a collectible demand for silver bars. And if you make it a practice to only buy bars when the premium is low, if that premium goes up at any given time, that's just gravy on your silver investment. The downside of silver bars, particularly larger silver bars, is that they may not be quite as liquid as smaller denominations of silver. Sure, there might be a buyer out there willing to pay you spot or better for your 100-ounce Engelhard, but it might take a little while to find that buyer. But for the real dedicated stacker types who are treating their silver more like a very long-term savings account rather than a speculative silver investment, absolute maximum liquidity doesn't need to be of the highest priority. Just think, even the COMEX conducts business with silver bars rather than boxes of coins, so there's something to these. And anyone out there who's watching and saying to yourself, how could he recommend silver bars? He should be stacking silver eagles or silver maple leaves or junk silver or silver paperweights. Look, none of this is financial advice. I'm just telling you what I like to stack, so take it for what it's worth. Oh, and by the way, guys, if you're enjoying this video so far, please give it a thumbs up and click the subscribe button so I can talk to you about silver more regularly. So if bars are my number 3 favorite silver investment for 2021, let's move on to number 2. 90% junk silver. Because who doesn't love some constitutional silver? This stuff is great for everyone. Because while these old 90% silver dimes, quarters, and half dollars are a great way to add some metal to your stack and get some exposure to the price of silver as an investment, they're also like an emergency hard money supply. This is the silver that you have on hand for SHTF. I'm not saying that the dollar's going to collapse tomorrow and we're going to be the next Venezuela or Zimbabwe, but if that does happen, junk silver could likely be the currency you find yourself buying some groceries and gasoline with. I actually have some family over in Venezuela, and they've been able to survive and buy the things they need because they have US dollars, which have become the de facto real currency over there ever since the Bolivar went into hyperinflation. But what if the dollar hyperinflates? We don't have another world reserve currency to fall back on, and I suspect that in the unlikely event that that does occur, we may resort to using old hard money coinage such as these 90% US constitutional silver coins. These coins, and coins like them, are basically what served as currency in the United States and even the colonies before that for hundreds of years, until we got into the current fiat experiment. So I don't think it's entirely unreasonable to think that they might circulate again someday. And even if it doesn't come to that, they're a great form of fractional silver. A cool piece of history, and they're not making any more of them, so it's a fixed supply. And they can still be purchased today for a fairly low premium, and that's why they take my number 2 slot for the best silver to be stacking in 2021. And now, finally, the number 1 slot, the best bullion to stack in 2021, what is it? Kangaroos. Now, really, I'll say that any government minted 1 ounce silver coin that's at least 0.999 fine silver could fit into this spot on the list. Silver Eagles, Maple Leaves, Austrian Philharmonics, etc., they're all great coins, they all have something going for them, but I really like these Perth Mint kangaroos specifically, and I will tell you why. First of all, they're cool looking. On the obverse, we've got the Queen, Elizabeth II. We've also got the word Australia on there and the legal tender amount $1. So this is a $1 Australian legal tender coin. On the reverse, we've got this kangaroo mid-hop and also the year and 1 ounce 0.9999 silver. That's 4 nines purity. And I don't know that it really makes too much of a difference, but it can't hurt to have just that extra tiny bit of purity. And pretty much all of the coins that I've seen from the Australian Perth Mint have had particularly nice designs, and the kangaroo is no exception. Who doesn't like the look of a majestic marsupial bounding through the air? You guys remember Roger? He was the world's most jacked kangaroo. Look at how strong that guy looks. That's the kind of creature you want on your money. And in addition to just being cool silver coins, the kangaroos do have some other appealing characteristics as well. So let's go take a look at those. Okay, so the first thing about the kangaroos I really like is they can often be had from the large online bullion dealers for a fairly low premium. Here on SD Bullion, for example, you can see that they're selling for $27.60, which is pretty good considering that the current spot price is $24.11. In today's market conditions, it seems like a $3 or so premium is pretty reasonable, especially considering that the kangaroos seem to have a pretty strong resale market where you can probably get that entire premium back when you go to sell. And what I'm basing that statement on is eBay sold auction data. So if we go over to eBay, I've searched for Perth Mint Silver Kangaroo, and then I've simply filtered the data to only return sold auctions. So everything we're looking at is actually a completed transaction on eBay. And this is actually really helpful market data. Say what you will about eBay, it has its problems just like any platform, but it is a very real marketplace where real money is changing hands in exchange for real goods. And it's a super transparent marketplace where you can actually view all of the sales that have taken place. And not only can we see the sales, we can see the entire listing, the prices, the shipping cost, the number of bids, and even the exact time of the sale and where it's being shipped from. There's actually quite a bit you can glean from this, so let's take a quick look. So you can see the results here are sorted by time. So these are the sales that were completed today, September 9th, 2021. And let's just scroll down until we just find some plain old Australian kangaroos. And there's one that sold for $30 plus $8.99. It had 11 bids, so it had a significant amount of bidding activity. And so somebody was willing to pay $38.99 for that coin. Now we can keep scrolling down. Here's another one for $34.50 with free shipping, and that's shipping from China. So personally, I would be somewhat hesitant to buy any bullion coins shipping from China on eBay, but it goes to show you that if somebody is willing to pay $34.50 for one shipped from China, you shouldn't have any trouble selling them if you're shipping from the US. And then if we keep going down, here's another regular old, plain old Australian kangaroo. It's a 1 ounce bullion coin shipping from Australia, so that might be shipping directly from the mint, but you can see it's $37.57 and then plus $20.24 shipping. Now, I know that this is not indicative of every sale for a kangaroo. The point is that there are buyers out there who are willing to pay a decent premium for these things. And yeah, if you sell on eBay, you got to pay fees and all that stuff. But my point is just that there's a ready resale market for these, and this market data reveals that to us. The eBay sold auctions tool is a really great way to get price information for anything, not just coins, but it's particularly useful for bullion, I think. You can see here, an empty Perth Mint 1 ounce silver kangaroo tube is sold for $8. So hey, if you buy a tube, I think that's 25 coins, you'll get one of these tubes, you can take the coins out, and then you can get an $8 instant rebate just by throwing it up on eBay. Think about that. Enough about eBay, let's go back to the coins. So the point is that I think kangaroos are a real steal at the low premiums we can get them for at the moment. They're legal tender coins, they have an awesome design, they're 4.9s fine, and they have a strong resellability and the potential for rising premiums in the future. And for all those reasons, they've earned my top spot for the best silver to invest in 2021. So, what do you guys think? What's the worst bullion you've ever stacked? And what's your top pick for silver this year? Let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear what you have to say. And if you liked this video and you'd like more, then check out this video right here where you can hear a bit more about my favorite silver bars. Thanks for watching, everybody. I'll catch you next time. Smart Silver Stacker out.